Forms of convergence. Tim Harrower in 2006 said that convergence takes three forms. Number 1, newsroom convergence. Number 2, news gathering convergence. Number 3, convergence content. Newsroom convergence means sharing the same workspace by journalists working for different media outlets rather than do the work in different buildings. News gathering convergence means the collective work of reporters, editors, and photographers to produce the news. To cover the Independence Day event, journalists from TV, radio, newspaper, and web exchange the information with each other. In other words, journalists do multitasking vis-a-vis multimedia reporting. Content convergence means blending text, images, audio, video, blogs, podcasts, slideshows, etc. to present news in the form of multiple media. For instance, if you want to read a news story from a smartphone while you are traveling in a bus or train, the Hindu newspaper has given an option that you can directly listen the same via audio option. That icon is displayed on the top of the page. According to Henry Jenkins' classification of convergence, there are 5 forms: technological convergence, organic convergence, economic convergence, global convergence, cultural convergence. Merging of various types of technology is technological convergence. It is the blend of 2 or more distinct technological features in one device. For example, a smartphone again it is designed to make calls and take pictures. Here 2 different technologies of communication and imaging that converge on a single device. Therefore, from a technological point of view, convergence means multimedia, the mixture of media, integrated media, digital media, and intermedia. The natural outcome of diverse media is organic convergence. It is a multimedia multitasking. For example, while taking dinner, one would engross in chatting online, listening to music, watching television. When a single company has interests across many kinds of media, it reflects on expenditure, and Jenkinson calls it as economic convergence. Whenever readers or viewers can comment, alter, or otherwise talk back to the cultural aspects of news stories that flows across multiple media platforms, then we can presume it as cultural convergence. When geographically distinct cultures are able to influence one another, it is global convergence. Slightly similar to Tim Harrower and Henry Jenkins, Professor Rich Gordon in 2003 has identified 5 types of convergence, such as ownership convergence, tactical convergence, structural convergence, information gathering convergence, storytelling convergence. Let us see ownership convergence. Ownership convergence could be associated with the merging of companies. Media companies or media ownership typically controls a number of subdivisions operating across multiple media platforms such as newspaper, television station, magazines, and websites. Media companies seek efficiencies across their media properties and use whenever and wherever it is necessary. Here, cross promotion is possible. For instance, newspaper reporters write stories for the company's website and television news operations. Here, we understand that when a story represented or prepared exclusively for one medium is adopted or repurposed for another medium, perhaps by others. A media production house encourages sharing of content among newspaper, radio, television, and online platforms owned by the same company. There is an additional advantage of creating synergy among media organizations rather than continue operating independently. After News Corporation purchased Dow Jones in 2007, cross promotion of news stories became easy between the two media platforms, New York Times and CNBC. Number 2, tactical convergence. Although the owners are separated and revenues are generated independently, content sharing and syndicating arrangement is possible in tactical convergence. For instance, content sharing is possible among newspaper, radio, television, where each firm has its own and keep its own revenues. The purpose of tactical convergence is solely to serve the audience and share information without owing money. Number 3, structural convergence. Gordon says this form of convergence is associated with changes in news gathering and distribution. Here, journalists have multiple media skills, rewrite already published or to be published print content convenient for television. Number 4, information gathering convergence. A journalist who gathers information must be a master of new technologies. A reporter is adept at blending of writer, editor, videographer, photographer and producer that were separated roles earlier. One person can handle all the qualities from gathering information to disseminating news in all forms of media platforms. We can also say platypus, Inspector Gadget and backpack journalism. These are the names given for this expanding of this particular phenomenon. Number 5, storytelling or presentation convergence. Storytelling convergence also would emerge from the combination of various devices such as portable audio devices, television, computers within the interactive potential of the web. Journalists should adopt new forms of storytelling skills. Convergent media graduates are being trained from the universities and colleges with advanced digital skills. Media managers also should provide the advanced digital equipment and establish a full-fledged recording studio in the media houses. Advent of social media, an illiterate woman from the coastal area of Andhra Pradesh is able to take a video in her smartphone on how to cook fish and share the process and recipe on social media sites such as YouTube. Apart from the above, functional convergence is another form of convergence where usually contains the mixture of services. News sites on World Wide Web display stories in various formats. Apart from reader forums, interactive maps, polling, blogs and direct links to shopping. Many interesting new reporting formats have emerged such as slideshows of photos with commentary by a journalist or photographer. Some mergers of content are more controversial such as the merging of information and entertainment into infotainment. Critics see this as a degradation of professional journalism. Some infotainment news programs being served in Telugu speaking states TV channels such as Doomda Muchatlu in T News, Tirmar Vartalu in V6 News, etc. are legitimate and useful information and formats of satire. BBC News is available now on other than English such as Urdu and Telugu news channels. Now let us see challenges of convergent media. There are challenges within the converged media industry such as information flow exceedingly that leads to information overload and people feel overwhelmed. People complain about lacking quality in content in converged media outlet. American writer Nicholas Carr in 2010 fears that the overload of interlinked information flooded through the internet is reducing the quality in content and diverting the youth from creative thinking and rational arguments. Citing the neuroscience studies, he says when people try to do two things at once, they give less attention to each. and perform the tasks less carefully. Frequent changes of consumers' desires and competition among media outlets are posed to challenge in convergent media. Media companies chase the audience for larger benefits from a business point of view. They sell news on one side and cross sell commodities through marketing and advertising. The rapidly changing of technology obstructs the activities of news consumers. Since not every instrument is user friendly, technology can be complicated to use. The linguistic differences among journalists who are working in print and broadcast media restrict the sense of togetherness. Journalism research centers such as the Poynter Institute and the Media Center at the American Press Institute began to trace convergence and provide analysis of its impact. But there are no such research centers to analyze fast growing media convergence in developing countries like India. Maintaining ethics in this fast paced convergent media world became difficult than earlier. Media people need a strong moral compass to deal with a changing fast paced world. Digital only news media like The Wire, The Quint, Scroll be able to achieve credibility through their experiential multimedia storytelling. But I, with Smita Mishra, observe that still print has relevance in India. Now let us see convergent media in media schools. Today, the news is being presented in multi-dimensional news reporting over multiple platforms. Media schools are still grappling to provide multimedia skills and hand-on experience to the learners in the field of convergence. Academic studies should be blended with practical application. Conducting internships and media tour programs to have lively experience of media convergence and invite professionals who have experience in convergent media for expert lectures in the classrooms would help the students. Media schools should be provided capstone advanced multimedia equipment, digital studio and media lab. Developing news curricula or courses and adopting multimedia teaching methods by the teachers is prerequisite to train the students in media convergence. Now let us see the conclusion remarks. Despite umpteen innovations made in the domain of communication in the course of its evolution, the advent of convergence has brought about a new level of standard in the media's functionality and the pupils' interaction with the media. The light at the end as far as technological innovations with regards to media is concerned shines brighter to brightest as the hardworking minds of human beings are at work as ever to make its future more promising. I hope this lecture helps to you to understand the topic better. All the best. Thank you.